With Spider-Man No Way Home set to release in just under 2 months' time, it goes without saying that fans can't help but wonder what this means for the MCU. And if its record-breaking trailer is anything to go by, it looks like things are about to get interesting. But which characters may be on the verge of being introduced? And how is Peter's journey about changing things for good? For all this and more, stay tuned. The Peter possibility. First up, we have to address some rumors that have been floating around since the very beginning, which has everything to do with the return of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to the Spider-Man franchise. For those of you who don't know, these actors portrayed Peter Parker before the MCU was even established. But back then, the property was owned by Sony, who has since been bought over by Disney. As such, fans have been wondering what Kevin Feige intends to do now that all of these characters are well within the fair use of Marvel Studios. And when it was confirmed that both Jamie Foxx's Electro and Alfred Molina's Doc Ock would be making an appearance in No Way Home, questions were asked about the previous Spider-Man who actually fought against these villains all those years ago. Would this be a retcon similar to what we saw with the Incredible Hulk, or is Marvel Studios about to blow the MCU wide open by introducing a multiverse? Well, it seems like the latter is the most obvious option, especially considering the upcoming Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We've also witnessed the Sorcerer Supreme attempting to change reality in the trailer for the film, seemingly bringing this multiverse into existence. And if this is indeed the case, then Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield could very well be brought on to portray different versions of Peter Parker. Suffice to say, this would change everything. So much for the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Another massive change that looks to be coming in the latest installment has to do with how the public actually views Spider-Man. Remember, it was in the mid-credit scene of Spider-Man Far From Home that Mysterio actually revealed Spider-Man's secret identity. The public now knows that the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is none other than Peter Parker. And even worse, Quentin Beck has made everyone believe that Peter was the one who actually ordered the drones to attack the city of London in the first place, killing Mysterio in cold blood. This isn't the first time that Spider-Man's identity has been revealed in the comics. In fact, Peter actually decided to reveal his own identity back in the Civil War story arc when he sided with Iron Man and asked other heroes to reveal who they are. This is the first time that something like this is taking place in the MCU though, and from the trailer, it looks like Peter is struggling immensely with the danger this reveal has brought upon his friends and family. But the reveal goes a lot further than this. The public no longer sees Spidey as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which has always been his thing. And it's this loss of identity that will cause him to finally approach the Sorcerer Supreme for some help. In other words, we're about to see Peter like we've never seen him before. What about new characters? This isn't the only type of help that Peter will require though. Since he's been framed for the death of Quentin Beck, it goes without saying that he might need to get himself a lawyer. And luckily for him, there are two characters that may very well help with his legal troubles. The first is Daredevil, the blind lawyer turned vigilante, who is perfectly portrayed by Charlie Cox in the Netflix version of the television series. He isn't the only lawyer responsible for the defense of superheroes though. We also have Jen Walters, who fans of the Marvel comic verse will know better as She-Hulk, and since Marvel Studios are looking for an excuse to introduce her, considering how she's getting her own Disney Plus series in the days to come, Spider-Man No Way Home may be the best chance that Marvel Studios have at making this happen. That being said, if either character is actually going to appear in this latest installment, the studios kept it pretty quiet. In fact, Charlie Cox has vehemently denied being involved in the filming of No Way Home, while Tatiana Maslany, who will be portraying She-Hulk in the Disney Plus series, has kept mostly to herself when asked about a possible role in the film. It goes without saying that the introduction of either character will bring about a massive change to the MCU. What can we expect from the supervillains? We're covering this and more now, so don't go anywhere. Is this a new era of supervillains? Something else that Spider-Man No Way Home appears to be teasing is a new era of supervillains. In the past, villains in the MCU never really worked together. Sure, we had Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch teaming up against the Avengers back in Age of Ultron, but this made sense considering how they're related to one another. They also went on to join the Avengers in the Battle of Sokovia, transforming from villains to heroes in next to no time. We also have the example of Thanos working alongside the Black Order, composed of Corvus Clave, Ebony Maw, Proxima Midnight, and Cole Obsidian. That That being said, this was more of a case of employment, with the Black Order working under Thanos rather than with him. But it looks like things are about to change in the MCU, with Spider-Man No Way Home introducing a number of villains who could very well form a group known as comic book fans as the Sinister Six. For those of you who don't know, the Sinister Six are a group of Spider-Man villains that come together in an attempt to kill the Web Slinger. The casting of Doc Ock and Electro seem to suggest this, and fans have also seen teases of the Green Goblin, Sandman, and the Lizard in the trailer of the film. We also know that Mysterio and the Vulture could return at some point, especially now that everyone knows who Spider-Man really is. Peter's relationship with Doctor Strange. When it comes to having the strength to carry on, the Peter Parker of the MCU always found solace in Tony Stark, who unfortunately sacrificed himself back in Infinity War in an effort to eradicate Thanos from the universe. Now that things are about to get worse than ever, it looks like Peter is going to find another role model, but this time in the form of the Sorcerer Supreme. That being said, fans have been noticing a few peculiar things about Doctor Strange revealed in the trailer of No Way Home. First of all, he seems more than willing to help Peter destroy reality, and logically speaking, this doesn't make sense considering who the Sorcerer Supreme actually is. In fact, we'd expect his character to offer up some sage advice in an attempt to get Peter back on track, rather than mold the minds of everyone on Earth. Secondly, his hands don't appear to be shaking anymore, and since this is something that Benedict Cumberbatch has ensured remained uniform with the character in the past, the lack of this injury is curious. Is it possible that Doctor Strange is being controlled by someone else? Or is this actually another character in disguise? Well, according to fans, this could be none other than Mephisto pretending to be the Sorcerer Supreme. Suffice to say, a discovery like this would throw Peter for a loop, cause him to become less reliant on others in the future. Could we see pre-MCU movies becoming canon? But by far the greatest change that Spider-Man No Way Home may be bringing to the MCU is the possibility that movies prior to its establishment might be made canon. Remember, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, who I've now seen in the trailer for No Way Home, first appeared in the Sam Raimi Spider-Verse, which was headed by Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Jamie Foxx's Electro, on the other hand, appeared in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, which was spearheaded by Andrew Garfield. We thus have two villains from two different franchises, both established before the MCU, appearing in the film. And while we don't know this for sure, it looks as if Kevin Feige intends on bringing these villains into the MCU by making use of the multi-worlds explanation. We assume that by breaking reality, Doctor Strange forces Peter into a multiverse where everything that happened prior to the MCU and other Spider-Man franchises is made canon. But rather than existing in the same world as Tom Holland's Spider-Man, these took place in the respective universes of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. This would give Marvel Studios the ability to bring in characters from other franchises that once belonged to Fox and Sony. Great example of this would be the X-Men and Deadpool, all of whom have a good relationship with the Avengers in the comics. If this is indeed the case, it looks like Marvel fans are in for one crazy ride. And there you have it, everything you need to know about the changes that Spider-Man No Way Home could bring to the MCU. What do you think about these various theories though? And how excited are you for this latest installment? Feel free to let us know in the comments section down below.